Hi, everyone, and welcome to Taking Up Space with Jordan. I'm your host, Jordan. I started this podcast because I believe that every single person, especially a woman, is capable of living their dream life. And I want to inspire you to start doing that today. And how you do that is it's a super big secret. You start by being yourself, by owning every awkward, quirky thing about you. This has been something that's been at the forefront of my mind because when I was writing my book, when I was starting my podcast, when I have pretty much decided to do anything that puts me in front of somebody else's potential judgment or ridicule, I basically almost stopped doing those things. I almost stopped writing my book. I almost stopped putting out podcasts because I was afraid of judgment. I was afraid of being laughed at. And so when I first started out on this podcast specifically, I started by making myself as palpable as possible because I had been told by people in my past that you are too much, you are too extreme, you are too loud, you're too mean, you're too insert opinion here about me. And I was scared to put my face out there. And my brand had nothing to do with me. It wasn't even my favorite colors. And then I slowly started gaining my confidence. And I started doing this outside of the podcast. This was more me in my real life, figuring out who I wanted to be. And when I did that, I started finding my voice and realizing that the thing that made me happiest, made me the most comfortable, was when I was actually being myself. And I stopped trying to be someone that people might find more likable. And I stopped editing myself. So I want to inspire y'all to do that today. So let's get into it. But first, a moment of joy. This week, I have been able to, or my main focus has been getting back into the habit of having to go back into an office and working again. Because for those that don't know, I was laid off back in February, officially back in February, and I hadn't had a job all of February and March and most of April. And so this is my second full week at where I'm working now. And I have 2 days at home, which is not bad at all for me, especially with my ADHD. It's really good for me to go into the office. But I decided, though, on my work from home days that I was going to have slower mornings. And I was going to make sure that I went out and did some movement that wasn't with my dogs. And for me, that has been, having pancakes on my balcony with a little cup of orange juice, and has been just enjoying getting back into running. And it's really hard running, but those have just been bringing me these small moments of joy that have been refueling me throughout my days and have been refueling my energy and just been making me feel a little bit more whimsical to just, be that person that's sitting on their balcony eating some pancakes in the morning. And that's just been fun. So, anyways, back to the podcast. So if you're like me, you might think that you don't have anything that makes you unique. Have you ever been asked that question of, well, what do you do for fun? Well, explain yourself. Who are you? That is probably the most terrifying question to ask because suddenly you're like, I've never done a single fun thing in my life. I don't know. I come home, I read books, I have dogs. I don't know what makes me unique. And honestly, it's something that you should practice. It's something that you should think about discovering because I blame the internet for us having this moment of like, I don't have anything that makes me unique. And the internet is kind of basically shows that like none of us have had a unique experience, or our lives have not been as unique as we might think. And that's okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that something doesn't make you unique just because one other person or 10 other people or even thousands of other people have experienced it as well. And I think the bigger thing is it doesn't mean that you shouldn't embrace the things that make you quirky. So I want you to think about what are the things you naturally do throughout your day. Maybe you hum every time you're doing something without realizing it. Maybe you have to have the same spoons in the exact same spot. Or maybe you sing every time someone says a word that reminds you of a song. Whatever it is, those are quirks. Those are things that make you unique. And chances are you might have made them quieter over time because someone has said something at some point in time that made you think that you were weird. And I know I did. I was told a lot of the times when I was growing up that I needed to be softer, more gentle, especially by my ex-father figure. He loved to try and tell me that no one was ever gonna ever appreciate me if I didn't learn to control my attitude. Bitch, get out of here. And for a really long time, those words did play over and over in my head. And guess what happened? I ended up marrying someone who I thought accepted every version of me, but really it was just the person that I had watered down. And there have been other people in my life who have made similar comments. It's made me believe that if I toned those parts of me down, then I would be more accepted, more loved. If you've been doing this, I get it. We are human and we want to be liked and loved and appreciated. But where we get things wrong is thinking that we have to make ourselves smaller, that we have to earn that acceptance, when in fact, we do not. Our quirks are what make us all unique and different. They make up our personalities and our identity. And what you'll start to notice is that you probably never made a distinct conscious effort to make yourself smaller. You most likely learned it from your friends, your work environments, your family dynamics. Humans are adaptable. When our survival instincts kick in, we change and adapt to suit the environment that we are in. My favorite example of this is when you hear your friend's work voice. We all have one, the super professional one. Maybe it's more cheerful or maybe it's a deeper tone, but it's fake as shit and not your friend's normal voice. So think about the times when you make yourself smaller or more palpable to other people. Is it because you're worried about being labeled as too much or too sensitive or too loud? Because I've been labeled mean and loud my whole goddamn life. Mean because of my honesty and directness. Loud because if I didn't like something, I made it clear. But let me use some words for you, some different ones. She has boundaries. She communicates clearly. I think of my old labels as just bad marketing. When a celebrity has a stylist that just isn't working for them and then they find a new one and suddenly the clothing looks better on them, the media is calling them stunning and gorgeous. Sometimes letting go of the beliefs that others have about you is as simple as changing the verbiage surrounding how they describe you for yourself. And if that is not enough to convince you, then this should be. When you hide your quirks, it's not just that you are hiding the things that make you unique and special. You are also hiding from your experiences in life. When we hide all the special talents and the things that make us fun, we end up in spaces where people only know the edited versions of you, which is mentally and spiritually exhausting. I don't hide who I am. Not at work, not at home, and especially not at home in my own space, and not with the people that don't even know me. It doesn't mean that everyone is getting a free pass to who I am and everything that makes me special, but I am not making myself smaller to make others more comfortable. And that's the difference. I don't soften my laugh. I don't hide from the things that are uncomfortable, but this took time. And I want to be so clear about this. I only realized that I was making myself smaller, making myself softer for other people because of the huge disconnect that I was facing for the majority of my life. I at one point had the things that make your life supposedly good. I had the husband, I had the house, I had, the two dogs, the picket fence. I had all of those things, but I couldn't feel the good in them. I couldn't feel the full extent of the joy and the happiness because I wasn't truly myself. In all transparency, I don't think I had been that person in years. I couldn't explain why I felt this disconnect though. I remember being upset in therapy because I didn't have the words, and it took 5 years of therapy for me to realize that it's because I was hiding me and I had no idea who me even was until I started embracing the things that made me special, that made me understand me. And this was about getting curious more about myself. When you start to embrace your quirks, you'll start to notice something spectacular. The right people, they don't and won't connect with the filtered version of you. They're going to turn and look at you when you use that fake voice and go, "Bitch, you have got to be kidding me," because they know who you are and they don't want the fake you. When we stop filtering ourselves and just embrace the things that make us fucking weird, you find your people. This applies to all areas of your life, your friendships, your romantic partnerships, even your family members. The ones that don't fuck with you are not the ones who you want to be around anyway. When someone says, "I'm weird" or "I'm too much," I take that as a sign that I'm doing something right because I spent the time getting curious about the things that made me too much, made me weird. Curiosity plays a huge role in getting connected with yourself again. When you start to feel or hear yourself saying, "You shouldn't have said that joke," ask yourself why. Why shouldn't you have said that joke? Was it inappropriate? Maybe. Okay. We acknowledge that, we learn, and we move on. But are you telling yourself that you shouldn't have said that joke because people looked at you weird? Or you're worried about how it might have come off to other people? Or are you worried that you put your foot in your mouth or if for some way, shape, or form, and now you're thinking about it that whole entire time? When you get curious about those things, you'll start to uncover a lot of hidden wounds. You'll start to understand that there's a reason that these words of hesitation that are popping up, there's a reason that they're there. And it's usually going to be based out of fear. And when you start to get curious about yourself, you start to notice this fun thing about yourself. And it's that you don't mind being like other girls. I personally don't. I love a good latte. I love a cozy moment. I love taking pictures of my food. I love the color pink. And I love a good glass of wine on the patio. Those are things to me that make me who I am. None of those make me this super unique person or whatever. And that's not what we're trying to be. We're just trying to be comfortable and unafraid to just be unequivocally us. You are never going to win at being perfect. You are either going to be too weird and out there or too much like the other girls. But let me ask you this. Who fucking cares? If you are embracing joy and whimsy and happiness in your life, why does it matter what other people think? And here's the thing though, it is terrifying embracing the things that you've hidden away because you will have people say, that's weird, no one does that, or something else that makes you think you are doing life wrong. You're not doing life wrong. There are certainly wrong ways to go about life. But the majority of us, I think the fact that we are paying rent in a shitty economy, trying to find love in a hopeless place, and just trying to have a little bit of whimsy, I think you should give yourself a break because you're doing something right, girly pop. But realistically, there are a few things to start doing to really embrace those quirks. And the first one is notice it. Start by noticing when you are filtering yourself. Let that little weirdo out, but do it slowly in a way that makes you feel comfortable, not other people, but you. So give yourself one moment to embrace that little weirdo inside of you every day. This means just be unedited to yourself. If you want to come home and you want to do a little willy dance when you first come home, do it. Be weird. Who cares? No one's watching you. Just let that little weirdo out. All those labels in your head that you have about yourself, you didn't create them. They were programmed. So that's our third thing. Reprogram and reframe. You are what you're telling yourself. Are you too loud? How about you're just expressive? You're too sensitive. How about you love your intuition? You are too much. How about I express myself in a big way? Test the real version of you with the people that feel safe. When we become more comfortable with the people around us, when we start to get more comfortable with showing this version of us that's the true and real one, you're going to see the people that encourage you. They've been waiting for this version of you to come to fruition, and they want to meet this version of you. And I think that's what I want to leave you with today. You don't need to become a different person to build a life that feels good. You don't need to be more polished, more chill, more put together, more like somebody else. You need to stop abandoning the parts of you that already exist. Because those little quirks, the things that you've been trying to quiet down or hide, those are the things that make your life feel like yours. They are the things that bring color into your day. They are the things that make people connect to you. They are the things that are going to make you memorable. And the right people, they're not looking for the most perfect put together version of you. They're looking for the real one. So this week, I want you to try something. Let one thing about you go unedited. One laugh, one opinion, one habit, one random little quirk. Let it exist without apologizing for it. Because the more you do that, the closer you get to a life that actually feels aligned. And this is how you start building your dream life. If you love this episode, make sure to follow and share it with a friend who needs this reminder. And as always, if you could, I would super appreciate it. Go check out my book. I recently wrote a little romance. I'm very proud of it. I'm very excited for it. It's been out by the time this episode comes out, it will have been out for a little over a week. You can purchase it on Amazon as well as on my website. A few other websites are going to be coming up soon for you to be able to purchase it. I'm very proud of this book. It talks a lot about basically a woman kind of stepping into her life fully and truly and embracing all of the ghosts from her past and facing the idea that maybe there could be possibility and hope and love in her life. So go ahead and check it out. Kisses.